I don't really have the words to do this justice. This is probably the worst I've seen the Packers play in years, probably decades. Think back to the 1980s if you're old enough. Definitely before Favre and probably pre-Don Majkowski at quarterback, maybe during Forrest Gregg's time as head coach. This team failed pretty much in every aspect of the game and got beat by the New York Jets 27 to 10. And as painful as this is going to be, let's talk about what went wrong. Welcome to the Packer Mentality Podcast. My name is Patrick Corrigan and I'm your host. You can find me on Twitter at Packer Mentality. My podcasts are available on YouTube, Spotify, Google Podcast, and Anchor. If you are watching me on YouTube, please help me out, help my channel, and hit the like and subscribe button below. So if you don't have the time to keep up with all the Packer news, reports, or social media, or you just can't make any sense of what you're seeing, let me help you make sense of the nonsense. And I really appreciate you joining me. The futility the Packers showed in the second half against the Giants in London continued against the Jets. They just peed the bed, or whatever analogy you want to use, as long as it's descriptive enough. So much was wrong that I could spend an hour on it, but I don't want to torture myself or any of you with anything that long. So let's just hit some of the big points. Offensively, the Packers are awful. There's just no other way to put it. What we hoped were just some minor hiccups that caused the Packers' struggles over the first 5 weeks have shown themselves to be major flaws in this group. Turnovers are still a problem, as another fumble led to a Jets field goal. And unfortunately, this offensive group is lacking playmakers. I actually said in my very first episode that went up right before the draft when I was discussing wide receivers that this group doesn't scare anybody. Randall Cobb and Alan Lazard, that I really like, that do a lot of good things for this team, they're mostly possession guys. They don't scare people when they have the ball in their hands. And now Randall Cobb is injured. Sammy Watkins has been injured, and he continues to be injury prone, and I think he might be actually eligible to come back this week, so we'll see. Christian Watson also has been missing a lot of time, and it's preventing him from developing that rapport with Aaron Rodgers. You can see it when they're on the field that he just doesn't get the ball other than some very basic plays. Juwan Winfrey dropped the only pass that was thrown to him on Sunday, and that was the last time he saw the ball. That basically just leaves Romeo Doubs, who's been really good for a rookie, but he's still learning it. And while I think he is pretty good with the ball in his hands, he's not getting the ball he's only getting the ball in very tight spaces where he's not getting a chance to run. So there's not a lot of yards after catch with him. He's making some great catches and he's been very reliable, but so far just not the opportunities for him. Now, with the injury to Randall Cobb, I don't know who's going to be available for Sunday's game at receiver, but I don't want to see some guy that we pick up off another team's practice squad to get snaps on Sunday. Activate rookie Samori Toure off the practice squad. Well, actually, I think he's active. He just hasn't suited for a game yet. Let's see what he can do. Give him a chance. He's been with the team through training camp. It was at all the mini camps. He's gotten time learning the playbook. Let's give him a couple plays, see what he can do. Aaron Jones is the Packers' best offensive player. And honestly, he's right now is the only playmaker on offense. He is the one guy that defenses fear. And Matt LaFleur has said on several occasions this season that he needs to get Aaron Jones the ball more. And Matt, you said that after last week's game. And you call the plays, and your voice is in Aaron Rodgers' ear in his helmet, uh, giving him the plays. So why isn't Aaron Jones getting the ball? Uh, the game started out. Aaron Jones is on the field with A.J. Dillon. Didn't touch the ball. 3 and out and a punt. And he finished the game with 9 carries for 19 yards and 3 receptions for another 25 yards. Just not getting the ball. LaFleur came to the Packers with a reputation of being an offensive guru. And honestly, he's done a really poor job this season. I don't understand what they're doing, and it's clearly not working. Up front, the offensive line is a disaster. They went with the same group that they started and played last week. That wasn't very good. That we wanted them to change, and they were absolutely awful in run blocking and pass protection. The Jets' defensive line owned them. The Jets' defense rushed 4, and the Packers could not block them. Basically, the Jets were running a 2-man stunt, and it completely baffled the Packers' offensive linemen. Those are guys that have been playing together, and these guys are not rookies. Everybody's been there at least a year, and they've all been starters. I don't know why this is a problem for them still. Royce Newman at right guard has been honestly awful. He's been bad every week, and Sunday was a new nightmare for him. I think he gave up four pressures all by himself for Aaron Rodgers. This group looks confused, and Aaron Rodgers is paying the price. Adam Stenavich, Packers offensive coordinator, but he does not call the plays. He was the offensive line coach last year. I think he needs to spend more time with the offensive line. I don't know what's going on there, but they have clearly regressed from last season. He needs to spend more time with the offensive line. Yeah. Now, let's get to Aaron Rodgers. He is also part of the problem. He is missing his reads, he's missing open receivers, and he's missing on his throws. Look, I played quarterback in high school and college, and an average fan who hasn't played quarterback against real competition can't possibly understand how difficult it is to find your receivers, make reads, and throw the ball accurately with these, 6'5", 320-pound guys, or coming up the middle, or the 6'7" guys that are 280 coming around the edge that are going to hit you from behind. It's a hard job. It's the hardest job. I know that. I understand that. But you still have to make the throws when you have time, and he just isn't. He's missing guys too often. You cannot throw a ball 4 yards out of bounds on a guy that is open down the field. Running open, has a couple steps on his guy, and the ball is thrown over his head and about 3 or 4 yards out of bounds. You can't do that. And honestly, he hasn't looked right all season. I thought maybe it was the lack of off-season work and no training camp action, but maybe age is starting to catch up with Aaron. Hate to say it. The one bright spot on offense on Sunday was Robert Tonyan. He had 10 catches for 90 yards. That was about it for bright spots for the offense. On defense, the game started out pretty well, and it looked like the changes myself and a whole lot of fans had been begging for looked like they got made. The Packers were playing more press coverage. They had Jair Alexander following Garrett Wilson around, Garrett Wilson's the Jets' best wide receiver. He's a rookie, lots of speed. And the Jets, Zach Wilson only threw for 110 yards. But that was mostly due to the fact that he didn't have to. The Packers defense got run all over in the second half as Breece Hall ran for 116 of the 179 rushing yards for the Jets. Our defensive line got pushed around by a very average offensive line. They were nowhere to be found for most of the game. And when the Jets had the pass, they were able to complete passes. They had scoring drives of 74, 66, 58, and 58 yards in the second half. Just a very poor performance from just about everybody on the defense. One small bright spot on the defense was Jair Alexander. He only allowed one catch for 8 yards on 5 targets to Garrett Wilson. Not to be left out, special teams. Well, it did look pretty good for the special teams early. They blocked a punt, but the offense couldn't convert that into points. Then they reverted back to last year's form and allowed not only a blocked field goal, but they also allowed a blocked punt for a touchdown. This is just inexcusable. I just don't understand why this is still a problem, why these guys cannot get this right. This team played poorly in every facet of the game. And to make things worse, and what really bothers me, maybe more than anything else, is the body language was that of a team that got punched in the face and wanted to go home. I saw no fire, no heart, and no leadership from any of the players. And that's very disappointing from a Packers team that has all this talent and plays for a franchise with such a great winning tradition. Now, the good news, such as it is that this team is still 3-3. They're 500, and there are still 11 games left to play. Still lots of time to right the ship. And I suspect we're going to hear some things this week. Some news will be made, and they'll make some changes. We'll see what they do. I will keep you updated. Please follow me on Twitter at Packer Mentality for updates, and I will preview next weekend's game against the Washington Commanders on Friday. Keep your eyes open for that. Until then, have a great week, stay safe, and go Pack Go.